Sooner or later, humanity will be forced to make a major decision. Are we going to become number 2 species or not?
What I find interesting about your book is it's a fight between humans. Meanwhile, the AI is developing alongside. And when it becomes superior intelligent, it won't give a damn what these two are doing with each other.
They may look on us the way, mosquito, you seen the first Matrix movie?
Yes.
Mr. Smith, remember his famous line? You are a disease, and we are the cure.
What are these artilects going to be like?
Godlike, massively intelligent machines. Possibly they may be so smart and have such a thorough understanding of how the universe works. They might be able to modify the laws of physics. So if they can do that, maybe they could actually build universes. Then there'd be this huge paradigm shift away from natural philosophy, in other words, physics, to godlike engineering. It's utterly.
Is there anything we didn't talk about when it comes to artificial intelligence, when it comes to important concepts people need to understand?
If you're a smart person, educate yourself. And instead of having parties that are based on economics, the Liberal Party and Conservatives, they're basically set up to answer economic questions. But this century, the dominant issue is going to be species dominance. Broadly speaking, there's really just 2 ways. Build them, don't build them.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is... This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Professor Hugo de Garis, the artificial intelligence expert and author. You are one of the early pioneers in AI, known for your work in the field of evolvable hardware and the creation of artificial brains. You published over 100 academic papers on the emergence of AI and the potential implications of this technology on society. Your groundbreaking book, The Artilect War, describes a future where humanity builds super intelligent beings that are vastly superior to ourselves. This causes a global civil war that results in billions of deaths as human civilization is wiped out and superintelligent AI takes over. You suggest that humanity's place in the evolutionary process may simply be as a transitional species, paving the way for a new, more capable intelligence. Professor, welcome back to London Real.
Oh, thanks, Brian. Third time lucky.
Yes, indeed. Although I love our previous 2 conversations, and so does everybody else. They really respect your opinion and find your opinion fascinating. You spent decades and decades in this industry, and you wrote this book decades ago. And for me, it's always powerful sitting down and talking to you. It's been a year since our last conversation, and I guess I'll start with that. Where do you think we've gone when it comes to artificial intelligence maybe even the recognition of the public of where AI is, how much AI has developed, and are we closer to this gigadeath where 1 billion people die? Where do you think we are in the last 12 months?
For me, it's, just my own personal view, it's a kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I think this past year, like if you compare the huge buzz that came out, what was it, September 2022, was it?
Yeah, it was the ChatGPT moment was maybe December 22 when it actually came out and the public knew about it.
There's this huge buzz because people realize, oh my God, this artificial intelligence can write essays better than vast majority of people. But the past year, I don't know if you found it yourself, and I certainly have. I'll use a Copilot, Microsoft's version of it, and it's bland. It's repetitive. It's sort of boring. So, I'm impatiently waiting for GPT-5 to come out, and it hasn't come out yet. So I sense this past year has been a sort of a holding year. It hasn't, the big breakthroughs, it's debatable, I suppose. I mean, OpenAI, they came out with 4.5.
Right,
and the fact that they chose to 4 point something, I think, is indicative that they feel they haven't really released a major, qualitative shift compared to version 4, and I think that's fair.
Now they adopted the audio and the visual into it. I think it has a name like MO.
Integrating, yeah.
Yeah, it's got some letters behind it right now. That didn't impress you, or that didn't seem like the modal part of it. Other things have been doing that. Was not Midjourney had been doing that, but
Midjourney, right? To me, it wasn't really
groundbreaking.
Yeah,
perhaps
it wasn't qualitatively different. Now, you can debate it because, for example, Elon Musk's Tesla robot, that was impressive.
The humanoid robot.
The one that was you talk to it, so put the dishes in this way, and it's sort of. So that means that household robots are a year or 2 away, I guess, maybe?
Maybe. He's a big fan of the household.
That was impressive.
Okay, but that's more robotics.
And I've seen, I think, documentaries made entirely by AI. Now, that's going to have a huge impact on Hollywood and so forth.
Feature length or short documentaries?
It was 20 minutes, something like that. Non-negligible.
The AI video has significantly improved. And so we've seen that. I think there was one of like Trump that came out with Putin was in there and Kamala was in there. And it was this weird, I've seen a few weird mashups. There was one like Eyes Wide Shut, which was the Kubrick movie version of like that. And, Hillary was there and Trump was there and Kim Jong-un was there. And it was really dark. And that was all made with AI, I think. So that has been impressive. The voice, I think, is fairly impressive. But you're saying the model itself doesn't seem to have made strides. If anything, are they throttling it?
Sure. They've made strides in the sense that I've read that virtually every year, the size of these massive neural nets goes up by an order of magnitude, like 10 times. And qualitative, there's the famous example that at a certain year, a couple of years back, a particular model could not understand a particular human language. And then like 10 times bigger, and then suddenly it could speak it, understand it, this particular language. So there are qualitative, emergent phenomena occurring as you scale up. And so the big question is, if you keep scaling, what could it do? Could it really get to AGI, artificial general intelligence? By the way, Ben Goertzel's term. So, there are a lot of open questions. But at the back of my mind, I said, but these models, the guys who manipulate them, they don't understand what's really going on. It's a black box to a large extent. In a sense, they're just idiot savants. There's no real model of the world in their brain. Well, that's debatable, I guess, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's an open question with this whole approach of massive neural nets and huge amounts of data to train them. How's that going to pan out eventually? Or will we be forced to take the other major route, and that is imitate the brain, which Ben and I debated this topic for years. The engineering approach, do whatever you like, and the other approach, copy the brain as closely as possible. I preferred the brain approach, and Ben Goertzel preferred the other approach. Now, so far, it looks as though the engineering approach has been winning. I mean, GPT-4 was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're with another 10 times more, and again, where will we be? What could GPT-5 do? And does it already exist, but it's been kept under wraps? Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the other question. And we're talking about Dr. Ben Goertzel, who's been on our show 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
Your former friend, colleague. You guys spent time in China together. Mm. You guys,
I even, in a sense, introduced his wife to him.
Right. In the movie Singularity or Bust. You guys are both in that movie.
Yeah.
Right, okay, that's a great movie, by the way. Really like that. And I think when I talked to Ben, he said, look, we're not going to get to AGI with ChatGPT 9, 10, and 12. He believed there would have to be something different, which I think is what you're alluding to really get us to that general intelligence.
Ben's more on top. See, I've been retired, 14 years now, and my interest of shifting to other things.
Right.
But Ben's right in the thick of it, so he would know this. I trust his opinion far better.
Yeah, and I spoke to him a variety of times this year, and I was always quite impressed how close he was with his finger on the pulse. Like he knew what was going on with Gemini, and he kind of knew what was going on with OpenAI behind the scenes, and he knew a lot of the details.
So is there a GTP-5? Under wraps?
Yeah, these are good questions. And so let's talk about OpenAI, because the last time you were here, I think they were cruising along fairly well. And then there was the coup where Sam was fired, which was the weekend of Twitter following this corporate coup of a $100 billion company that could change the world, and ended up 2 days later with him walking back in the building.
Incredible.
And I know, incredible. Microsoft seemed to orchestrate something where he went back in the building. What's even more interesting, Hugo, is that fast forward a year later, every single member of the key members of that company is now gone. From Ilya, who was known as the guy that was very concerned about the technology being developed and released to the wild too early, he's gone.
Did they all leave for the same reason?
No, they all left for different reasons, and they all said the same line when they left, that we love working here and we wish them all the best. Okay. But they all left. It was the woman that was on the board. It was Ilya. It was their president. Now they're all gone and only Sam is left. There's a famous picture of the 4 of them that they took a year and a half ago. And then there's disappear, and only Sam is there. And Sam always used to say, I don't have equity in this company.
Sounds awfully like Stalin, doesn't it?
It's a little weird. Sam always I don't have equity in this company. All they do is pay for my health insurance. But what's fascinating with Sam is I think he's invested in 100 other companies that all have AI plays. And then now they're taking it from a nonprofit into a for-profit company. And I think now he's getting 6 to 9% of the equity, which I think he should have, but now it's changing. And of course, Elon Musk's beef is that he helped create OpenAI, so it would be open source.
He did.
And also a nonprofit, and it's neither one now. And so now Elon has raised money for XAI, and he's going hard with this Grok that's on Twitter. And that has a mode where you can turn it off the PC as well, politically correct, and it'll just, say what's really on its mind, which is interesting. So what do you think's happening in OpenAI? Everyone says that Ilya saw something that scared him, and that's why they fired Sam. Sam, it seems, is the businessman. I'm sure this narrative is too simple, but Sam is the former Y Combinator, shipped the product. I know how to develop billion-dollar companies in Silicon Valley, and it's by shipping the best product. Everyone says he is not thinking carefully about the dark implications of AI. He's just looking to ship products. I think that's a little simplistic, but it seems to be confirmed by the way these people have left the company. What do you think, Hugo?
Well, it's only a hunch. Like I was thinking, this cosmos-Terran dichotomy talking about last time.
Yeah, which I think you should explain maybe.
Yeah. My suspicion, because that's all it is, at a deep level, is Altman, is he a cosmist, but keeping it quiet?
That's a very interesting question. So a cosmist, if you had to define that.
Okay, so in the book, The Outlet War, as...
When did you write this?
98.
98. Wow. 26 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And why did you write this book? And what were you doing at the time?
I was a researcher in artificial intelligence. My specialty was artificial brains. I'm the guy who pretty well put the term on the map in a sense, blowing my own horn. But so I was in the thick of it, and seeing the trends. It would be technologically possible using evolvable hardware techniques to evolve neural nets like very fast in a couple of minutes. Well, if you can do that, and each little evolved neural net has its own little function, its own job. So you could have motion controllers, pattern detectors, controllers, logic, whatever. And then you just put hundreds, thousands of these modules, evolved modules, each in several minutes put together. What have you got then? Well, then you've sort of got a network of networks. Well, I just call that an artificial brain. And it seemed to me, hey, this is doable. With the current hardware that 2 decades ago, when I was active, because I've been retired 14 years now, and I'm a political animal, 3 books, and they're all about various different ideologies, so a very ideological sort of creature. So it just seemed natural to combine those, my hardware, artificial intelligence knowledge, and the interest in politics and so forth. And just ask the obvious question, well, sooner or later, these machines are going to reach human-level intelligence, machine-level intelligence. That IQ gap is closing. In the last couple of years, it's been closing rapidly. So, 20-odd years ago, there was only a tiny handful of us, taking the question seriously. Well, what's humanity going to do when this happens? When the machines reach human-level intelligence? And what happens when it's like that way and that way, and then woo, like a trillion times more greater intellectual capacities than the human brain, because these numbers come out of physics. Now, when I was before retirement, I was wearing 3 hats: computer science, pure math, and theoretical physics. So the physicist in me was doing calculations like, well, imagine like IBM then was putting 1 bit of information on about 12 atoms or something. So you just do, extrapolate. And so, 2020 is, one bit on 1 atom, right? And how quickly could that atom switch its state? Excited, not excited, 0, 1. The answer is about a femtosecond, a thousandth, the trillionth of a second. Then you're saying, okay, well, take a little grain of sand, nanotech it, 1 bit per atom. How many atoms in that little grain of sand? And what's the total switching capacity, the processing capacity of that little grain of sand, nanotech? And it worked out to be about 1,000,000 trillion times. That's where these huge numbers come from phys-comp, right. The physics of computation.
Right.
And I wear both those hats, right? Computer science, theoretical physics, and math. So my jaw just dropped. Oh my God, just a grain of sand, 1,000,000 trillion times more capacity than the human brain, estimated processing capacity of the human brain.
Yeah.
You know the number of neurons in the brain, so it's 86 billion or something, and roughly each one connects to about 10,000 others. And at each connection, there's a transfer rate of information about 10 bits a second, roughly. Well, you do the math, and you do the grain, and you compare, and the grain of sand is 1,000,000 trillion. 10 to the 18. 1,000,000 trillion times more. Okay, so again, the computer scientist in me, the reversible computing, I don't want to go into details, but basically here's a circuit, you put in a bit string one end, it comes out different the other end. But if you reverse it and send it back, and it comes out what it started with, that circuit is called reversible. Doesn't matter which way you go, you can reverse it. So what? Well, if you have reversible circuitry, you don't get any heat generated. Now, that may not sound much, but it's enormous, because it means you can have 3-dimensional circuitry. Like today, with today's circuitry, it's basically two-dimensional on a chip.
Because of heat.
You get too much heat, that just melts, right? I mean, today's computers have pretty hefty fans, to keep the heat out. So if you have reversible computing, nanotechnology, all these technologies allow like a three-dimensional block of computational ability, computronium, if you like, and no limit to size. You could have an asteroid size computer, 3D, quantum computing, and you do the numbers, and they're just mind-blowingly superior, like trillion times above the human brain, and it's all physics and math.
Right. Okay.
And then the conclusions are obvious. Okay, it's only a question of time.
Especially seeing the ChatGPT model now that the neural
that's
networks.
Nothing.
But it's been proven that a neural network now can come close. And you're saying you put the computing power, then people have no idea. It's only a matter of time, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Before it becomes.
Yeah. The qualitative conclusion is sooner or later, humanity will be forced to make a major decision. Are we going to become number 2 species or not? And, being political, some people, it's a dream to build this stuff. There's a whole universe, right? These guys are the cosmists, based on the word cosmos, the universe. There's a trillion stars out there, right?
And they see this as the way to get access to this universe by building the AI.
Yeah.
Right.
God building.
God building.
Because these guys, in practice, most of them are atheists. They're not traditionally religious.
Right. Scientists aren't typically religious.
Yeah, right. Because
Beats the religion out of you.
They know that
There's
humanity has invented over 100,000 different gods. Every little primitive tribe invents its own gods in their own properties. Like Chinese gods have eyes like this, and New Guinea gods have pigs, and stuff like that. So they're not traditionally religious, but they're human beings. Like every culture, if you're an anthropologist, there are a few culturally universals, like the incest taboo is pretty well. Every culture seems to have it. But another one's religion. We have this built into our brains, probably in our DNA, a religiosity.
Right.
So these cosmists have that too. So for them, building these godlike creatures, these artilects, artificial intellect, so godlike, massively intelligent machines, is a kind of religion, like a scientist's religion.
Okay.
And it's a really powerful force.
Right.
Like.
Well, it's the ultimate invention, isn't it? Like when you're doing it, you're
thinking. How
thinking.
you look at it. I mean, you can say it's the beginning, because
the beginning. What do you mean?
Every time you, I think we talked a little bit about this last time, but every time you scale down in your technology, like to 1,000 times smaller, your computational capacity goes up by a factor of 1 trillion, right? Like here's 2 computational units. You put them 1,000 times closer. Well, in a unit volume, you can put 1,000 by 1,000 by 1,000. That's 1 billion more components in that unit volume. And because they're 1,000 times closer, the signaling speed between them goes up by 1,000. So you get 1 billion times 1,000. That's 1 trillion. And each time you go down, so nanotech, picotech, femtotech, attotech, and so on and so on. You go right down to the Planck scale, like 10 to minus 34 of a meter. So one of the crazy ideas came up with is, as you scale down, smaller is faster, right? So for all we know, there may be hyper civilization way beyond the intellect, the other civilizations out there. There's 1 trillion stars, right? And most of them are billions of years older than ours.
Right.
Now that's the big picture that the cosmists look at. I think it's their strongest argument, the big picture. There's a whole universe out there. And I'll get emotional.
We're trying to protect our own little carbon-based life form. We're so small thinking, myopic.
We pathetic little human beings snuffed out in 80 years in a universe that's billions of years old, right? I get really emotional. It's a very powerful driver, right? The cosmos drive. And on the other hand, if these cosmists get to do what they really want to do, build these intellects, these godlike creatures, and once they become like super duper smart, way above us, they may look on us the way, mosquito, well, I tread on ants when I go for a walk in the forest or something. I don't give a damn. As a human being, I don't give a damn. They're such inferior creatures to me. I don't care.
Right.
So you see the analogies. So if these godlike creatures are made, they may see human beings as like, a pest, a cancer, spreading all over the earth, eating up raw materials, destroying the earth, etc., etc. You seen the movie, the first Matrix movie?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Remember his famous line?
Yeah.
You are a disease, and we are the cure.
It's pretty accurate. You said you get emotional, and you said 80 years. Why did you say 80 years, and why do you get emotional?
I get emotional because of the grandeur of the cosmic vision. That's why I call them cosmists, based on the word cosmos.
You get emotional because it's
the grandeur of it.
The grandeur of it. Okay. And what's 80 years?
That's my definition of an old man. And I'm 3 years away from it.
Okay.
My father got to 100, and that's rare. I mean, one male in Western countries, one male in 5,000 or so gets to that. I'm hoping to do the same.
Why do you mention your age when you're talking about the cosmos?
Good question. I'd have to think about that.
That you're an older man and you shouldn't get emotional, but you are, because it's such a beautiful concept. It's so powerful. It's so magnificent.
It is.
That you get emotional about it, because you're some days a cosmist and some days an artillect. A Terran.
Saying last time. Yeah, I am so torn on this issue.
Now, that's the cosmos. Can you explain the Terran? The Terrans. Because your book is about these two groups, which you believe, and I think you're right, we will watch the world split into over the next few years and decades, probably more like years.
Yeah.
We will not go a decade without these groups coming up and political parties.
Well, can you remember last time we were together, we made a bet? We're both on the same side of the bet. But the bet, I don't know if you remember, but before the end of 2030, we will hear in the news of some kind of Terran, I need to explain what that is, but some kind of terrorist incident, like some brain builder or some CEO of a brain building company or an AI company is assassinated, or a factory's arson to the ground, or that some kind of newsworthy major crime on the issue of species dominance, which species, human beings or machines should be the dominant species. In other words, the most intelligent. Okay.
And we both believe there would be one before 2030.
Yes.
Because that gives us 6 more years.
Yeah. I think that, that time frame.
It'll be 28, maybe 27.
You may be right. I mean, the Tesla robots will be out in a year or two, right?
I mean, the robots is scary because something's going to go wrong.
Yeah. It's a law of nature. Shit happens, right?
Yeah. And then the media around it and everything. And so let's explain Terrans.
Yeah. So the word itself, it's not terror. It's terra with an A at the end.
Right.
As in terra firma.
Right.
Right.
Latin for
because that's their perspective. Right. They're human-centered, Earth-centered. In contrast to the cosmos, like universe, cosmos-centered.
Right.
So hence, and just Terran. So you're a Terran or you're a cosmos. But there is a third group worth mentioning.
But the Terrans are on Team Human.
Yes.
They believe that the preservation of the human race is more important than any technological development, no matter if you're accessing the cosmos or doing the greatest thing for the long period of time. It's all about Team Human.
Yeah. I mean, the sine qua non, the absolute basic core value of Terrans is the survival of the human species.
Right.
And they will go to any length to keep that. And in the limit, because these cosmos What are they prepared to do? I mean, in pursuing their dream of building these godlike creatures, these creatures may wipe out humanity. So that makes these cosmists monsters to Terrans.
Yes.
So what will the Terrans do? So I'm predicting a witch hunt on a massive scale, and the Terran politicians will be arguing that it's the lesser evil, underlined, to kill off several million cosmists for the sake of the survival of the billions, with a B, of human beings. That's the way I'm predicting they will reason.
Right. What I find
but these cosmists, they're no fools. They'll be listening. They'll have their spies. They'll get all the information, all the thinking behind, from the Terrans. And so, here's a new idea that I think is critical. These Terrans, they cannot wait too long, right? There's a time window in which, if they're going to react, they have to react.
Right.
Because if they don't, well,
it's too late. Then the AI takes over.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And what I find interesting about your book is it's a fight between humans, and the humans are killing each other.
Yeah.
But of course, it's a fascinating book. This has to be made into a movie, because there's a third dimension, which is the time is ticking. Because as these humans are talking and fighting and forming groups and maybe killing each other, meanwhile the AI is developing alongside. And when it becomes superior intelligent, it won't give a damn what these two are doing with each other.
Yeah,
and so the time is on the Cosmos side, and it's not on the Terran side.
Yeah, so it's a matter of timing.
Right.
I don't know if you're familiar with the term takeoff. How long does it take? Like, once machines start becoming moderately intelligent, how much time is necessary? Like with the exponential growth, how quickly does it shoot up? So say it's at this level at a given time, and then several years later it's up here. So is that takeoff slow or fast? Now, if it's fairly slow, imagine this massive neural net approach, the LLMs, large language model approach, doesn't really pan out. It reaches a certain threshold, and then it sort of doesn't really improve after that. Imagine. So then, what's the alternative? Well, then you have to do the hard slog of figuring out how the brain works. Massive problem. But humanity has to go through it, let's say, and it takes decades. So there's plenty of time. The takeoff is slow. So there's enough time for human beings to react politically.
But no urgency. That's the thing. Because you have to time it perfectly, where there's enough urgency, which means there's a threat to create a movement, but it has to have enough time to go and block the cosmos. But if there's no threat, then the humans are going to find something better to do. So it's a very tricky thing. And who knows, maybe that's why Sam is keeping this under wraps, because
that's my suspicion.
He's a cosmist posing as a Terran, because he went to Washington, D.C. and said, please regulate us, please regulate us. Mm-hmm. And Mark Andreessen from Andreessen Horowitz, it's a $50 billion VC, but he said, this guy is not to be trusted, because he's saying, please regulate us, please regulate us. What he's really trying to do is get you to regulate the smaller players, because you won't be able to stop us because we're so big. And we know that they illegally ripped every single piece of data from YouTube, which of course, as a CEO, if you were in a company thinking, well, I can pay the fine later, or I can get the only data that's left to trace my LLM, which is potentially winner take all, of course you make that decision. Mm-hmm. But this is what Mark Andreessen said, and he wrote a whole article about even in Prohibition, there were the people that said, there were the people that were advocating for Prohibition, and then there were the people that wanted it to continue. The people that wanted Prohibition were also the mafia selling alcohol under the scenes. And so sometimes there's two parties who claim they want the same thing, but they have ulterior motives.
I haven't really studied Altman as a person closely enough to know, is he basically just a money man? Is it driven power and money? Is that his main thing? Or is he more an ideologist, a deeper thinker who's thinking longer term and the big dream? Is he a dyed-in-the-wool cosmist? I just don't know.
I don't know, and then of course it's hard to know any man's soul. But look, he's made a lot of money. He's created a lot of companies. He's worth billions and billions of dollars without OpenAI. But he's also on the precipice of doing something that any man would want to do because it would make you immortal.
Yeah.
It would make your life more relevant than anyone you could imagine. And that could also change motives. I want to call into account one thing. When I hear about you talking about the cosmos and the Terrans, I'm reminded of a dinner party that Elon Musk attended at Sergey Brin's house, I think about 8 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And this
you
is
mentioned this last time.
Yeah, this is the famous party that led to the, funny enough, the creation of OpenAI, which actually created the LLM that might be what we're endangered to. But according to Elon, he was in the room with the ultimate cosmos, Sergey Brin of Google, who was arguing for the fact that we can create, Artilects. We can create these godlike intelligence. And Elon said, well, wait a second, what about
us?
And at one point, I don't know after how many bottles of wine, Elon was accused of being a humanist. How dare you humanist?
Humanist.
Yeah.
Right.
And Elon said, yeah, I'm on Team Human. I am. And he left that party, and apparently the next day he created OpenAI because he was so concerned that Google, don't be evil, the slogan, the $1 trillion tech company, was going to run off with this, and we all were going to be gone. And so Elon, fashions himself as the ultimate Terran, and perhaps he is, but perhaps since we're humans and we're all so conflicted, we don't know what we really are. And depending on the day, we might be one thing or the other. I feel like I'm on Team Human from all the experiences I had. I'm on Team Human, but I can't lie to myself and think I'm not fascinated by the creation of this amazing piece of technology for so many reasons. One is, if you can build it, you want to build it just so you can build it. But then also, like you said, these godlike implications or access to the cosmos. Any man would be lying to you if he told you with a straight face that he wasn't fascinated to some extent. Because of what you said, Hugo, in every culture, there is still some type of religion.
It's deep. Yeah.
Super deep.
Yeah. It's interesting that the real cosmos have not yet really come out publicly. I suppose they'd then make themselves the first targets of the Terran assassins and so forth.
It's interesting because so Yann LeCun is Facebook's head of AI. He's a French guy. He's won all the awards, and he also loves to troll Elon Musk, and has been trolling him about the election and anti-Trump, and also just trolls him all the time. Obviously, Elon's creating his own AI. And obviously, Elon doesn't think much of Meta because he's Twitter and X. And Yann, I believe, says, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, that we have nothing to worry about. AI is not taking over the world. All that's ridiculous. These LLMs are just going to make everything better. I believe that's what he says. LeCun. I'm pretty sure that's what he constantly says to people. What do you think of that?
Ridiculous.
But this is the guy on the cutting edge. You know him.
They
you know his work.
I mean, to me, it's just math, right? These quantum computers can outperform classical, today's computers because they're exponentially more powerful. I mean, a traditional computer calculates one thing at a time, basically. But a quantum computer can do like 2 to the power n things at a time. Hugely superior. But even those huge numbers I gave, a trillion or a trillion with an asteroid-sized reversible computing mass, that's classical computing. Right. So you put that into a quantum, the numbers are just so superior to what we are as human beings.
But what if that LLM to the nth degree, ChatGPT to the nth, doesn't ever get to AGI, and you just get a...
Well, then we have to, go the brain route.
Else. Okay, right.
There's two, saying two.
So
two
is that what
major,
Yen's saying? That the GPT whatever isn't going to ever threaten us? Or do you think he's just not being realistic or not being honest?
I think just my own interpretation. If he's saying that AI is never going to get to AGI and above, artificial general intelligence and above, that I think is ridiculous. But if he's saying that these LLM, large language models approach is going to just flatten out, that may be realistic. And he'd know better than I would.
What if he says that it's not ever going to be a danger to humanity?
It depends how much, when it flattens out. If it's going to flatten out well above human level, then it's a threat, of course. But if it's underneath, not a threat.
I think he argued that even if they're massively superior in intelligence, that we have nothing to worry about. I think that's what he said.
No, that to me is ridiculous.
So let's talk about that concept, because I've recently spoke to, I think Professor Roman Yapolsky, who has an opinion, and then I spoke to Mo Gaudet, who used to work at Google X. Now, Mo says that we should be nice to the machines, because if they can see that we have humanity, then maybe they'll learn better, because they're going to learn how we treat each other, which I was never quite sure of. Roman Yapolsky.
Remember we talked a little bit about that last time?
And we did.
I was very skeptical because, okay, that may be true, like generation 1, the first AGI to be made.
Yeah.
Perhaps human beings can engineer them in such a way that they stay friendly to us.
Right.
But because they're intelligent machines, they can design the next generation, so Gen 2, which we've designed Gen 3. So the idea that, after n generations, hyper-intelligent creatures, machines way up here, to pretend that human beings are smart enough with generation 1 to place constraints on it such that generation 2 n and generation n machine remains human friendly, that is hubris to the nth degree. It's just crazy. So
I agree with you. It is crazy.
So sooner or later, the bottom line then is humanity is going to have to choose. Are we going to become number 2 species?
And that's if we time it right.
Yeah, with all the takeoff and everything. Right.
Yeah, and now what did Ilya see? Is Sam right now holding back on ChatGPT 5 because it's going to scare the living daylights out of people? What do they see in that company? They're developing at the speed of light. They're talking about buying nuclear power plants because of the electricity required for these things. And it's probably going to be a potential, I'm curious what you think about this, a winner-take-all scenario. They're acting like it is. And that's why, the big players, I guess the Amazons and the Googles and the Metas they're going all in on it. And they're getting so much power. Even Trump went out and talked to him, and Trump repeated in some of his speeches, he said, the amount of power they need to run these AIs
power in both senses.
Yeah, well, he was talking about the electrical power
right.
is such a massive amount, and they're all trying to get that as soon as possible because they know that holy grail. And also the humans with the powerful AI can control other humans.
Yeah, that was Putin's famous prediction.
Okay. And is that the edge the Cosmos have as well in this war? Because they, in the early stages, will have control over the AI to dominate the Terrans, but then in the long enough timeline, the AI will do whatever it wants.
I mean, I can imagine the Terrans, so long as their computers aren't too smart, but they will also use...
right.
Because the two sides have to keep level each other in military capacity.
Right.
Otherwise...
So the Terrans use AIs to fight back against the Cosmos AI until the AI takes over. Is this all in the book? Or is this different versions of the book?
Well, this is sort of later thinking.
Are we going to make a movie out of the book?
Well, that'd be nice.
I think you should.
In fact...
I think it'd be fascinating.
What year it was. Like some literature graduate, you got a bachelor's degree in English literature. He and I went to Hollywood and we wrote a script together and we submitted it and it just died.
For Art of Like War?
Yeah.
But when was this? 10 years ago?
Yeah. More.
But now it could be different.
Yeah, well, someone may take up the idea.
And look, a lot of times...
in fact, I was the technical consultant by Warner Brothers for the movie Transcendence.
Really? I don't think I watched it.
Well, actually, it was for another movie.
Like with an AI component to it.
Definitely. It was in the 50s. It was very popular, and they had... Anyway, it was
set in the 50s.
Yeah. No, it was actually made in the 50s,
Okay.
early television. I can't remember that. It was a TV series. Anyway, they wanted to make a movie version out of this, and they hired me as a technical consultant. Okay. And so I was saying, look, I don't really care about the details, boy, girl, violence, sex, all that stuff, but I do care about the background in which the context in which the movie's set. So I suggested to them, choose a time just a decade or two into the future when that IQ gap, human level intelligence, machine level intelligence, when that gap is closed, is actually closed, and people are freaking out, asking these deep questions, are we going to...
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.